If Yahweh is the first and the last day isn't Yahushua also? And yes, in the sense that later it will be a yes, but for now it is not. In John 3:13, Yahushua spoke of himself while on earth with the disciples and others. Talking to Nicodemus, he says, "No one has ascended to heaven, except the one who descended from heaven, the Son of Man who is in heaven." But Yahushua was on earth at that moment. Then Yahweh speaks, again and again, "I am the first, I am the last." One came to show love, one comes to demonstrate the unity of the Father, the power of the mighty. 13 and 13, for what I just mentioned that Ehad has a numerical value of 13. Ahava, love has a numerical value of 13. 13 is 26, which is the numerical value of the name Yahweh. Yahweh is the Almighty, and his name is divided into two parts, representing the first and second coming. In the pictographic of Hebrew, it can be seen that in the name Yahweh, there are two men with their hands raised. First is the arm or the hand, depending on how one wants to see it, the Yud, then the Hey, which represents a man with his arms raised, followed by the Vav, which is a nail or an upright man, and then the Hey again, which is the man once more with his arms raised, showing that there would be two manifestations of the arm and the hand to die, as when Yahushua was nailed. The two Heys of the name Yahweh represent the two manifestations of Yahweh on earth as the first and last to die for his people. So when Yahushua came to the earth, he said the Son of Man who is in heaven. And then he mentions that the coming of the Son of Man will be like the days of Noah. Yahushua also said, "It is necessary for me to go, so that the Comforter may come. He will bear witness of me." That is why the last one comes and bears witness of Yahushua the Messiah through that Spirit that Yahweh leaves through the name of Yahushua, as John 14:26 says. Then Yahushua came as the first and was the first manifestation of Yahweh taking on flesh. When Yahweh took on flesh through his union with the Ruach in Miriam, there was, so to speak, an earthly soul of Yahushua that was ignited with the direct Spirit of Yahweh. The last one comes being somewhat similar, but this time indeed even more rustic, so to speak, because it would not be through a virgin. That is why he is called the son of Adam, because if he is someone who comes directly from Adam, then the son of Adam is a man who is born from a normal relationship and who, through the spirit that Yahushua left with what he did, is transformed through the new birth and comes to take that place as the last, like the pillar Boaz, just as Yahushua and here, of the two pillars at the entrance to the temple. And it is where Ezekiel 37 will be fulfilled regarding the rod of Judah and the rod of Joseph, because the last descendant of Joseph through Ephraim will unite and become one at that moment. It can be said that they would indeed be the same, but it will always be understood in the sense that Yahushua is the first, he is the head. In this case, it is like being head and heart. The two need each other. The first is the brain, the last is the heart. That is why the last, represented by David, had a heart like the heart of Yahweh. As I said, it is a different body, a different personality. Just like in the parable of the prodigal son, it is called the prodigal son, but in reality, it should be about the father who has two sons, because one is the prodigal son who represents the last, and the other is the one who never sinned, representing the first. He was indeed the firstborn, so it is like two brothers who came from the same father. They have the same genetics, but different functions. So the first and the last are two different manifestations of the same one. One as a priest, the other as a king, one as a root, the other as a branch, one as an arm, the other as a hand, one as a door, the other as the good shepherd, and so on. There are many connections that can still be made there regarding what each one represents in the scripture, one being the word and the other the voice. One of the reasons for following revolts is because we also see in the scripture that the name Yahushua appears written in two ways, one with a vav and another with two vavs. The one with a vav represents the first, the one with two vavs represents the last. It is the same name, the same pronunciation, but with one letter present in one case and not in the other, yet it is always pronounced the same. Yahushua, of two vavs, I repeat, represents the last one and is the name that the successor of Moshe had. It was the name of the first one, but curiously, the genetics of the last one, because he was a descendant of Ephraim, a descendant of Yahusef. There are many details that connect the first and second manifestations, but that union will occur with greater power once the last one dies and resurrects. In Revelation 6, we see that Yahushua is the Lamb, seated at the right hand of the Father, and from there he opens the first seal, and it is there that the last one is manifested on earth. So with just that, a clear separation can be seen between the first and the last. Yahushua, the first, is in heaven when the last manifests on earth. When Yahushua was on earth, the last, the Son of Man, was in heaven, as it is stated now in John 3 and 13. So Yahushua is up in heaven when he opens the seal and the last one manifests on earth, which, as I have said, is a way in which heaven and earth will unite, with Yahushua in heaven as the high priest and the last one as you.